During the WWE's transition of losing Russo, who took the payday, big lucrative pay job to take Eric Bischoff's position over at WCW. He took the job, took the money, crept in the door, and kept Eric Bischoff in as they were partners to come in to help steer the ship in the right direction. As they wanted to beat Vince McMahon at his own game. Now, what had happened was they were losing. They had something great. It was going great. And in a blink of an eye, it was gone. How did that happen? Well, a lot of things led to the element of change. But once you hit a panic button and bring in somebody who's inexperienced, young, and all of his success was mimicking what they were doing in the other division. When Russo was at WWE and writing for them, all he was doing was mimicking what they were doing over at WCW. He just had better talent to work with. The Rock character was based on Booker T, Goldberg, Stone Cold. You had tit for tat, Bret Hart, the Hitman Hart. You had Shawn Michaels. You had all the elements that you needed to make things work. Shawn Michaels is the only one that didn't leave. He stayed home. Everybody else left. Shawn stayed home. So during the rough years, Shawn Michaels was there to make sure that the him and Vince was very close. So the potency of the network was gonna remain. But when Russo left, and the success started to take off, Russo wanted to take credit for what everyone else had done and put in the work for. So when he snuck out in the middle of the night and went over to WCW, and his vanity, his ego, it can't be checked. He's got to be on screen. You want to show his face. You never saw Russo's face when he was with WWE. He was a writer. He was supposed to be behind the scenes, but he wanted to be out there like Eric Bischoff. Wanted to be seen. So he comes out with the long baggy shirt, baseball bat, trying to be the New York tough guy. But all this guy did was ride people's coattails and was really close to those because he was just a fan of wrestling. And there's nothing wrong with that, but he was clearly in over his head. And he's a guy who took shortcuts in the business. It's just the gist of it. So people assume he's better than what he really is. His success was built on mimicking what WCW was doing. So when he got to WCW, his thing was, I'm going to mimic what we were doing over at WWE. Yes, that's it. I'm back doing me. Now, we turned Stone Cold from a bad guy to a good guy. We flipped him around a couple of times. Let's just do what we were doing over there. Here, we're going to set up these little acts in the ring, these little stage things that just come out of nowhere. Security forces, and Goldberg pops up. They weren't even matches anymore. It was just people just pop up doing stuff every now and then. It was becoming a joke. And all these little sideshow things that they were doing. It wasn't about wrestling no more. It became all about these gimmicks. There were no storylines that made any sense that anybody cared about. It was just over the top. Like Hulk Hogan fighting Billy Kidman. It's like, Billy Kidman? Are you serious? So Billy Kidman and Hulk Hogan having bouts was just one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I was at an event, saw Hulk Hogan drive up in a big monster red car. Dude, they kept doing these things because that's what WWE did. They had the things outside they promoted. Oh no, look at Goldberg, he's pulling up in the Goldberg truck. There it is, he's here. They had these monster promotional trucks. Hulk Hogan had this big black car sitting on 24s. He's coming to the ring when Russo's coming in the ring dressed like Mancow from Chicago. Mancow normally has the long black trench coat and the baseball bat here in Chicago, the radio personnel. So when they came to Chicago, he was basically mimicking Mancow. Coming there, Hogan gets out of the car, he hits the thing, the pyros go off. Hogan's just yelling and beating him all around the ring. Throws Billy Kidman out. Kidman runs to the back. Hogan runs to the back. There's never even a match. Hogan just came out, beat him up, threw him around the ring, grabbed him, threw him over the ropes, everything. He gets up, runs out of the place. And Hogan chases it. That I'm like, that's the match? It wasn't about wrestling no more. Now, they tried to create a storyline, bringing new talent with legends. So Russo, fan in New York, and start watching the UFC. Went back before the Dana White era, where Tank Abbott was putting on. He was the only real star of the show. This guy has personality. He punches people, knocks them out. They offer him a deal for WCW, and obviously Russo knew who he was based off the fact he couldn't believe Eric Bischoff went and got Tank Abbott. He thought, man, that's a ballsy move. That's something I would do. But I'm going to work with Tank. I got some things I could do with him. So he wanted to get the Steiner brothers together again. Make Rick and Scott Steiner back buddies. But they're bad guys. With a new member, Tank Abbott from the UFC. Tank's not a polished wrestler. You know, he's gotten in shape. He got his weight down. It's the lowest his weight has ever been. They've been working out with other wrestlers. And he wasn't doing UFC anymore. So this fit up his alley. They gave him a big check. Wanted to make sure he was comfortable and taken care of, and he wouldn't have to learn any real wrestling moves. You know, mostly it's like taking hits, how to take hits. That's about the best thing they can come up with for him. So when this was done, the process, and they do rehearsals and everything else. Sting was kind of a prick to him. You know, he didn't like the fact that this guy didn't go through the same trials and tribulations that Sting went through, and he's from another sport and he's coming in, and that they're forcing Sting to wrestle with a guy like him. Sting's like, look, he's inexperienced. things can go wrong. You don't put them in the ring with stars right away. You let them build themselves up so they can get some experience. And they're starting right away, putting them in the ring with Sting. Sting thought that was wrestlers would see that as disrespectful. One, to do this. So the match was not with Tank Abbott. The match was him and Rick Steiner. They said, we're not going to do that to you, Sting. We're going to put you in a match with Rick Steiner. Sting's like, that's right. It's in my contract. I refuse to wrestle with Tank Abbott. I don't think he's experienced enough. So as he's wrestling with, Rick Steiner, who they know for years, they're going through their things. Then all of a sudden, you know, Tank's supposed to jump in and interfere. They say, oh, well, then we'll just have Tank interfere, come in the ring and interfere. So Sting didn't like that also, but they had it in their script. It's supposed to build the tension, and Tank right away is proving his worth. He's doing his part and everything. And he had a decent match. And somewhere in this match or this bout, Tank hits Sting. And it became a big thing. Like Sting sells the punch. He goes down. He's holding his face like in anguish. He rolls on the ground, rolls front, runs back. Then they go to the back, and he's ready to fight Tank Abbott. He's pissed off. He's, get him out of here right now. I want to talk to Russo. He hit me. Like he's like, I touched him a little bit. It's like I hit him, but not like full force. I pulled the punch, the way he was taught how to punch. The wrestling punch, people act like it was murder, it was assault. Sting can have a concussion. It was a really big mess behind everything that went on. So Scott Steiner's like, we've all done this. He's talking to Tank Abbott. Tank, man, I don't know. These guys supposed to be professional athletes, and guy can't even take one punch. I mean, I've been punched plenty of times. This guy's bigger than me. Supposedly is, a professional athlete, but he can't take one punch. So Sting's like he's complaining to Russo. He hit me in the back of my head. I have double vision. I'm not going on. I'm not coming back for the next, segment. And the next segment, they staged something where Scott Steiner had some dogs attack Sting, like some real like dogs, and they like the cameras are going out. Oh my God, these dogs are chewing Sting. So it's just totally foul and just over the top. So that's how the Tank Sting feud came to be because pretty soon Tank was fired by WWE. I mean WCW. Not too long after that, they just had to part ways with Tank. They just made him. They had him go up against Goldberg and lose to Goldberg really quick, and that became it for the One Punch King. He was pretty much done. Just another opponent after that, so his contract subsided. So that's that. So hope you enjoyed the wrestling beef, and I'm out.